Have you ever thought about travelling back to Victorian Britain? In this story, we explore a journey between two worlds and discover its culture. At the end, we'll practice shadowing to improve your fluency. Let's begin. Emily Thompson was 25 and lived in a small flat in modern London. She worked in a coffee shop and loved history, especially old books and films about the Victorian period. One rainy Saturday afternoon, she went into an antique shop near her flat. The owner, an old man with a kind smile, showed her a small silver pocket watch. It looked old and a bit scratched, but something about it felt special.
This belonged to a lady in the 1880s. It still works.
Emily liked it immediately. She paid for it and put it in her coat pocket. When she got home, she took the watch out and opened it. Inside, there was a tiny photo of a young woman in a long dress. Suddenly, the room started to spin. Everything went black. When Emily opened her eyes, she was lying in a large, soft bed with heavy curtains around it. The room was huge. There were dark wooden furniture, a big fireplace with a warm fire, and beautiful patterned wallpaper in soft green and gold. Sunlight came through tall windows with lace curtains. This was not her flat. A young woman in a black dress and white apron came into the room. She looked surprised, but smiled politely.
Good morning, Miss Thompson. I'm sorry if I woke you. Breakfast is ready downstairs. The family is waiting.
Emily sat up quickly. Her head felt strange. She looked down and saw she was wearing a long nightdress with lace on the sleeves. Her jeans and t-shirt had disappeared. Miss Thompson? She thought. How does she know my name? She got out of bed. Her legs felt weak. The maid helped her put on a simple blue dress with a tight waist and long sleeves. It felt heavy and a bit uncomfortable, but the fabric was soft and the colour was lovely. Emily looked in the mirror. She looked different, more elegant, like someone from an old painting. Downstairs, the house was even bigger. There was a wide staircase with a shiny wooden banister and large paintings on the walls. Servants moved quietly, carrying silver trays. The air smelled of fresh bread, coffee, and flowers. In the dining room, a long table was set with white tablecloths, silver knives and forks, and fine china plates. 3 people sat there, a middle-aged man with a beard, a woman in a pretty green dress, and a teenage girl. The man stood up.
Good morning, Cousin Emily. We are so pleased you could visit us from the country. Please, sit down.
Emily realised they thought she was a relative who had come to stay. She decided to play along for now. She sat and tried to eat like them, slowly, using the correct knife and fork. The food was delicious. Eggs, toast with butter, sausages, and fresh fruit. No phones, no laptops, just quiet conversation about the weather and the garden. After breakfast, the family went to the drawing room. Emily followed. The room had comfortable sofas, a grand piano in the corner, and large windows looking out onto a beautiful garden. Roses and tall trees filled the space. A fountain was running in the middle.
Would you like to walk in the garden, dear? The air is fresh today.
Emily nodded. They walked outside together. The paths were made of small stones, and the grass was perfectly cut. Servants were already working. One was trimming the hedges, another was carrying a basket of flowers for the house. Emily felt strange, but also excited. Everything was slower here. No cars, no noise from traffic, just the sound of birds and the gentle wind. In the afternoon, they had tea in the garden, small sandwiches, cakes, and hot tea in delicate cups. Emily listened as the family talked about a ball they were planning next week. She tried not to say too much. She was afraid she would say something wrong about the future. Later, when she was alone in her room, Emily took out the pocket watch from the pocket of her dress. It felt warm in her hand. She opened it again and looked at the photo inside. Suddenly, the room started to spin once more. When everything stopped, she was back in her small modern flat. Her jeans and t-shirt were on the floor where she had left them. The pocket watch was still in her hand, but now it felt ordinary again. Emily sat on her bed and looked around. Her flat seemed small and noisy compared to the big house. She thought about the quiet garden, the elegant clothes, the kind servants, and the beautiful rooms full of light and flowers. Life there was different. No internet, no fast food, no quick messages, but it had a special peace and beauty she had never noticed before. She smiled and put the watch safely on her shelf. Maybe one day she would go back for a longer visit. For now she had a story to tell and a new favourite way to think about history. Now, let's start the shadowing. Listen and repeat after each sentence. Try to copy the pronunciation and rhythm. Speak out loud and repeat as needed. She worked in a coffee shop and loved history. She worked in a coffee shop and loved history. She went into an antique shop near her flat. She went into an antique shop near her flat. She liked it immediately. She liked it immediately. Sunlight came through tall windows. Sunlight came through tall windows. Breakfast is ready downstairs. Breakfast is ready downstairs. They talked about the weather and the garden. They talked about the weather and the garden. Her flat seemed small and noisy. Her flat seemed small and noisy. It had a special peace and beauty. It had a special peace and beauty. Great job! Keep practicing these sentences out loud to improve your fluency and pronunciation. Let's continue. A glimpse into Victorian life. More than just a cup of tea. In Britain, tea is much more than a simple drink. It is a way of life. As we see in the story, afternoon tea is a real occasion, carefully laid out with delicate sandwiches, cakes and fine china. However, the most important part isn't the food, it's the pause. It is a chance to slow down, talk and enjoy a quiet moment with others. It shows a classic British habit, always making time for a chat, even in the middle of a busy day. Manners at the table. The way people behave during meals says a lot about their world. In a Victorian home, nobody rushes their food. People eat slowly, use their cutlery correctly, and speak in a calm, polite way. These rules might seem a bit formal today, but they have a clear purpose. They show respect for the people around you. For Emily, learning these rules is about more than just etiquette. She is stepping into a different world with its own social expectations. Clothing and who we are. In the Victorian era, your clothes were like a badge that showed your place in society. Fashion carried a lot of meaning. While servants wore simple, practical clothes to get their work done, the family wore much more elegant and structured outfits. When Emily puts on a Victorian dress, she feels a real change. It's not just about her appearance. She actually starts to feel like she belongs in that time. The hidden order of the house. The household itself is organized in a very specific way. Everyone has a clear job to do, and everything runs like clockwork. You might see servants moving quietly in the background to keep the house perfect, but they are rarely the center of attention. It is a system built on a strict hierarchy. Compared to our modern life, where we value equality, this way of living feels quite strange, but it shows us exactly how society used to function. I hope you enjoyed this journey between two worlds. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.